Hey guys, how's it going? Hope everybody's doing well out there today. In this video, we're going to take a look at an online, obviously collaborative note-taking presentation building application called HedgeDoc. But before we get into taking a look at HedgeDoc, here's a quick message from today's video sponsor. This video is sponsored by Linode. Now, I've been partnered with Linode for a long time because they're a great place to host just about anything from hosting a single website to a more complex multi-node deployment. You can find enterprise capabilities like object storage, Kubernetes, and GPUs at a 30 to 50% lower cost than other major cloud providers. You can quickly spin up operating systems from Debian and Ubuntu to Kali or whatever else you might need depending on your next project. Be sure to check out the link in the description or go to linode.com/dbtech to let them know I sent you. So HedgeDoc has been on my radar for a while now, and I've been kind of kicking it around. I've been testing it out. I've been trying different things, and I'm still not sure that I fully grasp all of the stuff that it can do. But I wanted to present it to you guys, at least in its limited, my limited understanding anyway, because I think it's a cool tool. And if you guys are interested in note-taking things or note-taking applications like Trillium or any of those real sophisticated note-taking applications, I think you're really going to like HedgeDoc. Now, that said, on the flip side, if you're into simple note-taking applications, say like memos, I still think you're going to love HedgeDoc. And let's take a look at their website. And then, of course, the demonstration server that I've got set up for it. And then we'll kind of go from there. So let's jump over to my desktop. So here is their website, HedgeDoc.org. And it says, HedgeDoc, ideas grow better together. HedgeDoc, formerly known as CodeMD, is an open source, web-based, self-hosted collaborative Markdown editor. You don't necessarily have to use Markdown, but it's kind of built in and it's easier to do. And it's actually forcing me to learn some Markdown language, so I kind of dig it. Just know that there is also a kind of a simple WYSIWYG editor in there if you don't want to use Markdown. And of course, it says you can use it to easily collaborate on notes, graphs, and even presentations in real time. All you need to do is share your note link to your coworker or friend or collaborator, whoever, and they're ready to go. With that said, though, you can actually go in and limit who can edit or make it so that nobody can edit. It's completely up to you, and we will take a look at that. If we scroll down a bit, we can see that their core features are web-based, self-hosted, real-time collaboration, presentation mode, graphs and diagrams, easy-to-use permission system. Again, I agree with that, and we will take a look at it. They've got revisions and low system requirements. So basically, HedgeDoc will run smoothly on a Raspberry Pi. So just know that you can run it on basically anything. So if we scroll down farther, there is an install guide if you want to take a look at that, which I would encourage you to do. I will have links to basically everything, this website, their documentation site, some additional resources that helped me. All of that will be in the description down below, so definitely check that out. If we scroll down a little farther, it says try the demo. I've got a demo set up. We're going to use mine, not theirs. And then wasn't it called CodeMD is the question there? And it was, but in 2020 they renamed it to HedgeDoc to avoid confusion with another project of the same name. And you can read more about it there. If we scroll down a little farther, they're on Mastodon and Twitter, so definitely check them out there if you'd like to find out more about what they're doing, that sort of thing. Documentation, again, this will be linked in the description down below, so we're not going to get into that right now. They've got some FAQs, which I encourage you to take a look at. It says it's FOSS, free open source software, and community driven. So I really dig that about it. They've got Matrix and Discourse if you want to get in touch with them to discuss stuff, contact them, ask them, whatever. Matrix and Discourse is their preferred method. If you want to help with translations, you can absolutely do that. And then you can meet the team. Let's go ahead and pop that open. And it looks like they've got a team of about 10 and with links to all of their different GitHub repositories or pages or profiles or whatever you want to call them. So definitely go check them out if you're interested in more information about the team. So with that quick introduction out of the way, let's jump over to my installation that I'm using just for testing purposes, and then we'll take a look at some of the different things that we can do with HedgeDoc. So this is my instance. We can tell by the URL right up there. And of course, it's just a very simple page. There's a history thing here. There's nothing there because we're not logged in. I really feel like maybe the history tab should only be available if you're logged in, but maybe not. So we've got a features page that we can take a look at. And of course, we can scroll down and kind of get an idea of what's going on here. I don't want to get too much into this until we get signed in, though. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to click the sign in button right up here at the top. And right here, you're going to see sign in via email, put in the username and password. And it says sign in. Because we haven't put anything in, we can't sign in or register. But one thing you may notice here is there's no option to recover a lost password. I'm not sure what their logic was for that. Maybe they just didn't want to build in a password recovery system. Maybe that's outside the scope of what they want to do. However, I would be devastated if I had put my life's work into something like this and then somehow lost my password and was unable to recover the password. Hopefully they've got a way to do that, but based on what we're seeing over here on this page, there's no simple way to recover a password. So be super careful with your password on here is I guess what I'm trying to say. So let me get logged in. Okay, so we're logged in. And basically we've got a couple of different notes in here, I guess. We've got a slide example that we're going to take a look at, as well as the features. I want to look at the features first, because when I open this up, here's what it looks like just to preview the page as a published page, right? However, if we want to take a look at the code, in fact, let's not do that yet. Let's take a look at this real quick, right? So it created 3 hours ago. That's because that's when I deployed this particular instance. We've got some formatting, we've got links, we've got all kinds of stuff going on here. Basically, anytime you've got a header, there's a link to that header. Introduction, workspace modes, night mode. There's links to each of those. So if you wanted to share that specific part in the page, maybe for collaborative reasons, you could absolutely do that. We've got little icons over here. We've got images, we've got links, we've got tables. We've got lists, we've got unordered lists anyway, with sub unordered lists in there. We've got code blocks, videos, images, gists or gists, whatever you want to call it, probably gist from GitHub. SlideShare, this is actually a PDF. I don't know why I said SlideShare. It says it there, but basically we've got a PDF here that for some reason isn't loading. That could be a configuration on my end with my browser security. We've got math, so if you wanted to write equations in there, you can do that. We've got diagrams, more diagrams, Gantt diagrams, music. You could actually apparently do music in here somehow, which is beyond me. That's one of those things I haven't wrapped my head around. We've got alerts. We've got typography for headers, H1 through H6, horizontal rules, typographic replacements, emphasis with bold, italics, deleted text, subscript, superscript, all kinds of stuff in here, indented code, more tables down here, images with titles. Anyway, lots and lots of stuff in here. I don't want to waste your time any more than I just did. So if we scroll all the way to the top, what we can do, in fact, we didn't have to, I guess maybe. Anyway, right here, we can do a split view. And if we do that, here on this side is our markdown side of things, and over here is what it looks like in real time when it's actually published. If we scroll down, I'm only scrolling over here on the left-hand side, right? But it's actually bringing the right-hand side of the page with me, and I love that. I love that you can keep tabs of where you are in real time as you're scrolling. Here, like right here is view, and if I add an S to that, oops. Only the owner can edit this. No, that's fine, whatever. The other thing that I want to demonstrate here is actually this slide example. So let's do this. Let's do this in split screen mode here, and we can see here is how we're going to build out our slide page. We've got transitions and themes, and slide numbers are true, and controls are true, and progress is true. We've got slide example 1, and then we've got basically this 3 lines right here will be what determines what is the next slide. There's an option where you can see 4, and that becomes a sub-slide. And then you can put all of your text and all of that sort of thing in each individual slide or sub-slide. And at first I was like, that's not what this looks like. What the heck? Why isn't this looking right? And it's like, oh, well, that's because if you come up here and go to slide mode, hey, look, there's a slide. And if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, you might have noticed this arrow is kind of, oops, my stupid face is in the way. Let me move my stupid face up here. If you watch this arrow, it kind of bumps. Like it's like, hey, here I am. Like this is, if you click this, you kind of see how it like rotated. And that was because of transition, right there is convex. There are other transitions that you can use, but I chose convex because I really like that spinny thing there. And then there's a sub slide there, and there's another sub slide there. And if you come over, then there is slide number 2 with sub slides under it as well. This makes a great presentation as long as you don't get too crazy with it. I love the ability to create interactive presentations like that, that have some movement to them, that have some something that will get your attention. So with that said, let's take a look at what something collaborative might look like with just a simple note-taking session, right? So let's go back to my desktop. So this is a presentation. We don't want to do this. We actually want to create a new note. So we're going to come up to the top and we're going to click on New Note. And again, we've got, let's just do title 1, test text. Yeah, that was right. Title 2, right? Oops, one more, and then test text 2. Okay, so now we've got our note set up, at least a very basic note for the sake of this demonstration, right? So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to bring this over, and I'm already logged into a different instance over here with a different user. We can see that I've got David plus homelab. That's just something else. I'm going to grab my URL right here. I'm going to copy that, right? And I'm going to paste and go. And then here is that presentation, or what it would look like as a presentation page. I'm going to split this up as well. So on the left side is with the dark side over here, I guess. We've got our original note taker, and over on the other side, we've got our collaborative partner, right? So over here, I'm going to, on the right side, and if you look on the left side, it immediately said, hey, there's David plus homelab. I'm going to do title 3. I'm going to fix that. And test text 3, right? And then I can, if I wanted to, say, no, you got that all wrong. Right, and so you can kind of work back and forth or against each other if you're in that mood, I suppose. So we can kind of go back and forth. Text, right, and so you can kind of see how this would work in real time. Each person can go back and make modifications in real time to each other's notes, and I really, really dig that. But let's say, for instance, that the other person who is collaborating with you has done their part, and you don't need them to be able to come in and edit this anymore. Maybe it's just you and a partner working on something, and they've done their part, and now it's time for you to take back over and do the final polishes or whatever the case is. If we come back over here and change this from editable to only the owner can edit, and if I come over here, it's like, oh, no, you can't do that. Only the owner can edit this note. So just that quickly, by coming over here and changing what our permissions are for this individual note, whether it's editable, basically anybody signed in can edit. Limited signed-in people can edit, which would forbid guests. There's locked, which we just set it to. There's protected, only the owner can edit, again, forbidding guests. And then there's private, only the owner can view and edit, or you can delete. And that's all from right here where it says locked presently. It might say editable by default. We're going to go ahead and just put that back to locked. And then basically from here, you can look at your revisions, and you can kind of see there haven't been any revisions to up to this point yet. So we've got slide mode, which we took a look at on that previous note. We can import a GIST. We can import clipboard, Markdown HTML. We can download Markdown HTML or raw HTML if you want to do that. We can publish. And there it is, or we can create a new note, or we can see who's online and go over to their profile and kind of see what's going on, it looks like. So there's just a quick demonstration of some of the things that you can do. Again, this can do a lot more than that, but I like to kind of give you kind of the basic entry-level stuff and then let you guys go explore and figure out how this best suits your needs. Because that's what I love about a lot of these projects, is that they can do so much, so many different ways for so many different people, that I think it's just a great thing that we get to do here by checking some of this stuff out together. So with that said, let's take a look at how to get this deployed in Docker. So just a couple of quick things that I wanted to get here somewhere in the video is that on Saturdays at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for the Americans, or GMT -6 at the time of recording this anyway, I do a live stream Saturday 1:30 p.m. GMT -6 Denver time, if you want to look that up. Where we talk about all kinds of stuff. We hang out, we answer questions, we just chat. For the last couple of weeks, people have been submitting their home labs via a link that I will have in the description, and I'll put it here on the screen so you can see it there as well. Basically, that web page will tell you what to submit, where to submit, how to submit, all of that sort of information. And if you submit yours in time, there's a good chance that your home lab will be featured in an upcoming live stream, again, Saturdays 1:30 p.m. GMT -6. So definitely check out that link if you'd like to participate and show off your home lab to the community. We're not roasting anything. We're not trash talking anybody. We're talking about what home labs are, what people are doing with their home labs, how they look, that sort of thing. But it's more just to kind of show off how big or how small. We've done everything from a full rack that makes mine look like a game, clear down to just a couple of Raspberry Pis in a self-built rack. And we've done everything in between. So if you'd like to have your home lab featured in an upcoming live stream, definitely check out the link in the description or the one here on the screen. Okay, so here we are on their documentation page on how to deploy this via Docker. There are some system requirements of having Git, Docker version 17.03.1 or higher, and Docker-Compose. It says the official Docker images are always available here if you need to do that. And it says we currently only support AMD 64 architecture, which I think is weird because earlier they said something about Raspberry Pi. Maybe there are some different options. In fact, let's go over here and take a look real quick to see if maybe there are some tags or something like that that we could use. Tags, here we go. Debian. I'm not actually seeing anything in here specific to Raspberry Pi or ARM or whatever. So maybe they were just saying that it's so lightweight that it could. I haven't tested it on Pi, so if you do, let us know in the comment section if it works on Pi. So coming back over to this page, it says this is a minimal example of how to get started quickly and is not intended for production use. So when we take a look at this Docker-Compose, we can see that it's a version 3. Different versions do different things and have more functionality as those numbers get bigger. Version 3 is perfectly acceptable for this. Below that, of course, our next obligatory line is services, and our first service is database. It's a Postgres 13.4-Alpine database, and below that we've got some environment variables for it. The first one is the user, then a password, and then a database. I encourage you to change these just because for security reasons. I mean, if we're being completely honest. We've got a volume down here for the database. This is a Docker volume that is also declared down here. If you change the volume here, make sure you also change it down here as well. Using a Docker volume for this application is perfectly acceptable because there won't be anything in here that you need to change. So you won't be going in and modifying files or anything like that at the application or database level. So using Docker volumes is perfectly acceptable here. Next, we've got a restart policy of always. Basically, this means that if your system has to reboot or the system crashes or whatever, the application will make every effort to come back up on its own without you having to intervene and manually start anything. Next, we've got the application itself, and it's just saying, hey, make sure to use the latest release from here. So right now, this is by default, it's 1.99. It's basically Quay.io /HedgeDoc, and then this specific version. And then if we come over to this actual, we can scroll down and we can figure out what the newest version here is. And again, it's 1.99 that we can see right there. I believe that you could also use like latest. I might be mistaken on that, but I always like to use the latest versions whenever possible. When you get into specific releases, you might be kind of hampered later on trying to import additional functionality. But this is the current version that you can specifically call that version. Below that, we've got some environment variables. Basically, the first one is the database URL. It's a Postgres database, and we've got our username and our password, and we're saying, hey, look for the database on this port, and this is the database name that we're looking for. So if you change these up here, then make sure that you change the username and the password and the database down here in this URL. We've got our domain. This is set to local host by default. I would probably, if you're going to put this in production, put a domain name on that. And then you can actually remove the add port if you do that, because it's not going to be like mydomain.com and then port 3000, right? So you don't need to add the port there if you're going to put this on a domain name. So you can change that to false. For our volumes, we've got uploads. And again, this is a Docker volume. And again, it's going to be, this is the mapped inside the application. So that doesn't matter. But again, if you need to change this Docker volume right here, make sure that you change it down here as well so that those names line up appropriately. Next, we've got the port. It's going to be on port 3000 internally and externally. If you're already using port 3000 for something else on your setup, you can change the left half of this line right here. Do not change the right side. That's what the container is looking for on the inside. So only change the inside there. Again, we've got a restart policy of always, just like we talked about before. And this one has a dependency saying it's dependent on the database. So the database needs to be up and running before the application will run. And again, below that, we've got our volume declaration. So let's go ahead and just copy this like so. Then I'm going to jump over to my Proxmox host here. I'm just doing this on Proxmox because that's what my testing environment is. Inside this, this is just Docker. Like this is just an instance of Debian with Docker on it. So I'm going to log in. So basically, there are a couple of different ways that you could do this. You could do this in Portainer if you've got Portainer installed and wanted to go that route. That's perfectly acceptable. You would just open Portainer and drop in, basically copy and paste that Docker-Compose that we looked at a moment ago. Or you can do it the way I'm going to show, which is creating a Docker-Compose. So we're going to come back to our desktop. We're going to say Nano, just because Nano is my preferred editor. Docker-Compose.yml. And then I think oh, there it is. All right. So again, we've got our version 3. All of this is exactly the way it was before. And then what I want to do is just come over to this domain line and paste in the URL like so. And then we should be good to go. I don't remember if I have to add the port to this or not. I think it should be fine. And so what we can do now is press Control O and enter and Control X and then do Docker. Oops, let's clear our screen. Docker-Compose -D. Depending on which version of Docker-Compose you have on your system, it may look like this, or you may have to come back and add a dash in there. I just know that with mine, there's no dash, so I'm going to do that. We're going to go ahead and let this pull and deploy and do its thing, and then once it's done, we'll come back and take a look at our newly deployed application.
A few moments later.
Okay, so it's gone ahead and created everything that it needed to create. Then it started the database. Once that was started, then it started the application. And now it looks like everything is up and running. So what I want to do next is do a Docker PS, and then we can kind of see what's going on here. We can see that HedgeDoc is running, our database is running, and Portainer is also running because that's just one of those default things I've got in my template over here. And then 3000. And continue. And there it is. So it just took a second to come up. Basically, at this point, we're good to go, right? If we want to, there is by default no admin username and password. So what you're going to do is click sign in. You're going to put in your email address, and then we're going to click on register. And it says you've successfully registered. Please sign in. So we'll go ahead and do that. And just that quickly and easily, we are set up and ready to go. Now, again, because there are so many different ways that you can connect a domain to your applications, whether again it's Nginx Proxy Manager or Traffic or Cloudflare Tunnels or Caddy or Swag or any of the different ways that you can go about doing that. I'm not going to cover any of that in this video because so many people do so many different things, so many different ways. And I don't want to waste anybody's time by explaining, well, here's how to do it in Cloudflare Tunnels if you're not going to use Cloudflare Tunnels or whatever the case happens to be, right? So guys, there you go. There is how to get HedgeDoc set up on your local Docker environment so that you can have a collaborative, if you want it, environment to take notes and build presentations and that sort of thing. Again, I will have links to all kinds of different resources in the description down below where I found some good, helpful information. So definitely check that out. If you're interested in this project and would like to support the developers, definitely do that over on GitHub. Again, links in the description. But I think with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I want to thank you guys for spending a few minutes of your day with me today, and I'll talk to you in the next video.